What's up, guys? I hope you're doing well. So, some more news on what's been going on between Russia and the EU in terms of the whole natural gas stuff. So, basically, it seems as of right now, um, let's see, let me pull it up. So, as of right now, right, I'm sure everyone's heard about how Putin is going to be basically forcing uh, unfriendly countries or however you want to define that. I think it's obvious how he defines it, but anyways, but unfriendly countries to pay in rubles, right? And so basically, I'm just gonna go straight to the screen share because after reading like the whole article, um, there I just want to make a point that always a little bit more than what people tend to give. I believe it's this one, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so Putin has switched to rubles for natural gas exports by March 31st, and then is talking to the central bank and stuff like that, how they're trying to do it until they need to finalize their plans to switch currency away from euros and dollars to the rubles um, by the 31st. So one thing to note is that they have to finalize their plan. And apparently it's still unclear whether or not it's like the 31st isn't going to be the day it switches over. At least that's still unclear, at least according to this article as well. Um, but he's ordered the country's biggest gas company and central bank to prepare to start taking rubles for natural gas payments from the unfriendly countries, basically the ones that sanctioned him. And then Russia accounts for around 45% of EU gas imports, with pipeline exports to Europe normally paid in euros. Um, and then basically, this one's just what I just said. They plan on having, or they want to finalize the plan by Thursday, March 31st, but it's not immediately clear if that's when the switch is going to happen. And so, according to Vinicius Romano, energy senior analyst or whatever. At face value, this appears to be an attempt to prop up the ruble by compelling gas buyers to buy the previously falling currency in order to pay. Um, One thing I forgot to point out, and I should have thought about this before I started the video, but it's not the point I was talking about earlier. What I wanted to make, but I think the ruble has been strengthening before this was announced, but I haven't double checked the dates on this. But that's another thing that to check, especially when you're reading these kinds of articles and stuff. This is kind of just to get a general idea. At least that's what I use it for, is just to kind of see like what's the general consensus, and kind of just I guess the best way to explain it is I read these kind of articles, like the more newsy type of things, and then I use that to find out, okay, what exactly is generally going on, seeing how, because some of it's obviously propaganda, from both sides. That shouldn't be a surprise, but and kind of sorting through that, and then okay, what do I want to actually like say? Like I know this is not true and this is true, or I am fairly confident that this is true and this is untrue, um, and delve into it further, right? And from there, it's more of like the more scientific articles, more in depth. You start cross referencing things and so on. But this is just kind of a general, just swath of see what's going on. Um, but anyway, the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, Ursula von der Leyen, accused Russia of blackmail last week and said the move would be a clear breach of contract. Um, okay. I mean, I obviously don't know the intricacies and nuances in these gas contracts, but I mean, what are you going to do? You kind of need to heat your homes and everything else that you use gas for, because these energy sources are used in so many different things. Like natural gas is used in like also in agriculture, like for the drying of wheat and stuff for storage and stuff like that. So it's like it's necessary. And again, it's 45%, I think is what they said. It's 45% of Europe's energy comes from Russia, or EU gas imports come from Russia specifically. Um, so, okay, fine. I mean, if you need his gas, I mean, like contracts, it's just a piece of paper in the end. Yeah, there's the whole legality of it, but it's also like, I mean, the transaction's not really complete. In my opinion, it's not complete until the gas is in your hands and the money is in their hands. Once that's said and done, oh well. Just because you sign a contract doesn't really mean that it's 100% guaranteed. I think it means like it should happen because obviously, I mean, like if they don't pay in rubles and if this is against the contract and Russia doesn't give them the gas, then obviously it's not 100% probability of completing the transaction. Um, but this is kind of the point I wanted to make. So it says European natural gas prices have soared due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine and pushed higher last week when Putin announced the payment plan, which I'm not saying this is false, but I want to point out a couple things. I just kind of looked up quick thing. So this one says, like I guess the official, according to Wikipedia, um, take that for what it's worth. Which, to be completely honest, they're not that bad of a source anymore, at least relatively. Like whenever I do stuff for my physics research, like I'd use Wikipedia and then I'd basically scroll down to the bottom of the sources where they'd actually put like legit peer-reviewed articles and stuff, and I'd read those. So again, that's a good way to find sources sometimes. Um, but to use them as a source is different, I guess. Uh, but February 24th, so just a month and a half ago or so, it's yeah, around a month and a half ago, right? Was a Russian invasion of Ukraine. And so we're going to go over here to Y charts and show the European Union natural gas import price. Um, see how it kind of relatively level. I mean, it's because I zoomed out so much. This is a 5-year chart, but I want to point out that February is right here. So basically, this is $27. We're just gonna say 27. And then before it really starts to uptake, it's we'll say 7. So that's almost a 4 times increase from January of 2021 to that is 28. So year over year from January to January, January 2021 to January 2022, it is a 4x increase in the natural gas price. So for Europe, right? At least what they're importing according to this chart. And yes, after this invasion and everything, like the March number is 42, 39. So obviously, yes, it did increase due to the invasion, or possibly due to the invasion. Just because there's a correlation doesn't necessarily mean it caused it. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to argue that it was a direct cause, but that's not the point of me making this a kind of aside. My point is that we had a 4x increase before the invasion even happened, which, at least to me, makes me believe there are some other macro factors at play. So that being said, and I remember reading I don't remember exact like factors um, for the European Union on why the natural gas prices were going up. Probably just kind of similar to like oil and stuff, where it's more of a supply side issue, just lack of investment into it. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into this stuff, which is why I'm not really like saying like this is exactly what's going on because I don't know. Um, I'm not an expert in this space, but I just want to say when you see a year over year 4x return before this happened, um, it's worth noting. So it's not necessarily the whole story, but still. Anyways, I was just reading that tonight. Just kind of wanted to share and make that little aside. That's pretty much all I got. Stuff is definitely interesting, and I got a couple other things pertaining to like Russia, Ukraine, because at least from like a macroeconomic standpoint, it's pretty interesting. Hopefully it doesn't get too painful. I mean, like, I'm sorry, but it's regardless of your opinion on the whole, like the political side of it, and even the ethical and moral side of it, because obviously, like, I mean, I'm one of those is like all war is pretty much bad. Um, so, but to just go off and sanction the largest energy producer in the planet, and then expect nothing to happen is just kind of naive. At least if you take everything at face value. So, anyway, those are just some initial thoughts that I had and I wanted to share. So, I hope you guys have a good night, and I'll see you on the next one.